Yo, what's going on, gang? Welcome back to Kingdom Closers, the sales training series that we've been doing here on YouTube. Today, we got the final finale. We got my guy, Jake, coming up here to talk about all the things that he's been doing in his business over the past year. Jake's been a guy who has freaking absolutely crushed it in the blueprint community. It's been bananas to see what him and his partner has done. So I want to show you guys how everything that we just went over the past 8 episodes in the Kingdom Closer series, how that comes to real life. Jake has literally taken everything within Blueprint and done immeasurable things. So we're going to get into Jake and his business. He runs an acquisition business at the moment. Jake is a closer. So let's get ready. Jake, what's going on, my guy?
What is going on, man? I've made it. I made it onto the podcast, you know? You had told me, I think, maybe middle of last year, we're going to get you on the podcast. I think this was in July of 2023. And you're like, well, not quite yet. We'll get you on soon. So I guess I've made it somewhere because I'm here now, which is great. No, it's been great. It's been phenomenal. I mean, going back to when I first met you, I say I'm a closer, which is funny, but we were getting dinner with Mike, Cash Money Mike. And it's probably one of the first few times I'd met you. There's a mastermind. So this is actually April of last year, about a year ago. When you had that mastermind, we went to dinner with Cash Money and Big Rob. Yeah. We were standing on that outside of the restaurant waiting for Cash to come in. You were just like, "Yeah, dude, you're gonna be a closer." I'm gonna be a closer. It's like, "Yeah, dude, you're gonna crush it." Like, all right. So that was the first time anyone ever kind of believed in me on the sales side of things, showed some belief in me. So I was like, okay. I didn't really believe it at that point, but I was like, all right, well, Mike closes deals, so must be something to it.
Dang, bro. Dude, there's been so many times where I might have not been able to see something, or I just didn't believe in myself, like you're saying, and a mentor just opened my eyes and was like, no, bro, trust me, you're in the right place at the right time, and you are about to go into this new level. And I'm like, all right, sounds good to me, bro. And here's what happens. Whenever I get a word like that, I grab onto it, and I'm like, yo, all right, what's next? What do I got to do next to get there? What do I got to do next to get there? And I'm just grabbing onto that for confidence, for momentum, right? And that will shift you into that. So I'm so happy that what I said fell on good soil, because I knew that it would. And that's why I'm very careful with just the things that I'm saying to everybody, because your words matter. You know what I mean? The words that you speak life into people. And I'm not sitting here saying that it was me. I spoke life into you and you became a closer. No. You did the freaking work. That's the thing. You heard the words. It fell on good soil, and it's up to you as the worker, right? You as the hustler, you as the closer, to go out and hold on to it and really go take action. And I saw that from the jump. We met a while back, probably 2 years ago at some other real estate meetups, and you would come over to me and you'd be like, bro, what's going on in your business? And I was like, yo, I'll leave those meetings. I probably met you maybe in person maybe twice before you were ever in Blueprint. And it's there's something different about him. I'm here talking to a bunch of people, giving advice to people, but there's something different about Jake. There's something different about the way that he's perceiving it. I could just see it. I'm like, yo, that guy's really going to take what I just said, and he's going to go take action on it. I have a feeling that he's going to have success. So what Jake is saying, we were sitting, this is right before we went into dinner. We're on a corner street of Boston, and I'm just sitting here just waiting for one of our homies to come in, and we're just chopping it up, just having a regular conversation. And he's just like, yeah, man, I'm getting pretty excited, been learning a lot, and I just can't wait to keep on growing the business. And I'm like, bro, you know that you're going to be in the top 1% of closers in this industry? You are really going to be good as you keep going. And I just saw it in your eyes. You're like, all right. And I could feel you grab onto that. You're like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And week after week after week, I could just see it. you getting better and better and better. And it was just it's the coolest thing to see, bro. So thank you for that. That just blessed me.
Dude, and like the other thing is, the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I think you were at a perfect point because your business is obviously far more established, but it wasn't so far ahead that,
Yeah.
it was, you couldn't relate to me or I couldn't relate to you. So it was at that perfect juncture where you're like, a few steps ahead of me, a number of steps ahead, but you're not, these massive leaps and bounds where it's not even relatable. So I think that's a key component of it too. I think you have multiple different mentors in your life, and I think maybe different mentors serve different purposes. But I think it's always good to have that. It's what Pastor Robe in the thing called the accomplished peers almost. Not that you're my peer. I guess you are a peer, but the accomplished peer is more like a few steps ahead of you, very relatable versus where the something elders, I forget what you call it, established elders or something. They're like 50, 60 years old. They've like already been through it all. It's like a different type of mentor.
Yeah, man. You need all those different type of people in your life. You need the people that you're doing the thing with, like what we would call battle buddies. You need the people that you are uplifting, like the people that you are, lifting up.
Yeah.
You need the people that are just above what you're doing so that you could see where you're going to be at in the next season. And then you need the people that are like seasons ahead of you. So that you just have a full circle of wisdom. Because there's wisdom at every single point of that, right? There's wisdom in the people that you're going to lift up. There's wisdom in the people that you are doing the thing with. There's wisdom in the people that are just right up there. And there's a lot of wisdom in the people that are like higher than you. Now, the next thing is, how submitted are you to those people? Right? Like how serious do you take their words? Because same deal, bro. Like you have taught me so much. You probably don't even know. Like there's been so many things that you have taught me that I'm just like, dang, that's right. I got to switch some things up, or I got to do something different. Same thing with people that I'm working with that are, at the same level as me. Same thing with the people that I'm looking up to. Like, it's just like, how submitted are you to those people that are around you? And you got to be careful, because if they aren't the right people and you are submitted, you'll be going in the wrong direction for a long time. And then you get up, you lift your head out of the water, and you're like, dang, I went the wrong way. It's 5 years down the line, and I went the wrong way. I was following the wrong crowd. And I've been there.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things about you is that I just see you continuously getting in the right rooms. And I see the wisdom that you have in, while you're in those rooms, being very, what's the word I'm looking for? Being very intentional and selective with who you are getting close to and who you are allowing to get close, which is very, very important, which has been cool to see. So talk about, let's just say this was, when did we launch Blueprint? Like a year ago now? Yeah, it's a little bit over a year ago. You're probably one of the first people in Blueprint now that I think about it. Talk about where you were at, because this whole entire, series, this Kingdom Closer series has been a sales training series, right?
Yeah.
And talk about where you were at before Blueprint, and then when you got into Blueprint, what like just sales training and everything did in your life.
Yeah, where was that before Blueprint? I mean, Jesus, I was nowhere. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of things that have changed in a year. It's actually crazy. Like they'd say that like if you don't look back a year ago and say like what was I doing, then you're not progressing fast enough. I look back a year ago like, damn, bro, no, we did have a cold caller. We had just hired a cold caller, man. Like I was cold calling in January of 2023. I cold called for like a year and a half. Should have got a damn cold call after like 30 days, right? But I mean, I do appreciate that time though, because it really developed my ability to like speak with sellers and think on the fly and do all those things and build my confidence up. But I mean, before I was in Blueprint, man, I was like, one of the biggest things actually the Blueprint did was like show me that I needed to get a cold call and like stop driving for dollars and doing all these things and just focus on like sales conversations, Once I had that sales process, I was like, because I would be out driving for dollars for a couple hours. I had like one cold call or cold calling. It was like too scattered. It's like why am I trying to generate leads right now? That was a big mindset shift I had. Which didn't really have to do with the sales training, but because I had a sales process now, I was like, okay, I should just be using the sales process every day. Like every call should be using the sales process. So how do I do that? Well, I stopped driving for dollars for 2 hours a day, and I just, get another cold call or whatever I needed to do. So that's kind of the first mindset shift was like, okay, only do sales calls, right? That's the highest leverage thing I can be doing. In terms of the actual process, the sales process from Blueprint, I mean, that's everything, right? Because um, we fall into the same sales preference, which is consulting over selling features and benefits. So that sales process naturally resonated with me a lot. Where you're kind of the consultant, and you're just trying to figure out what's best for them. Because we're both genuine guys. So I think that was the biggest thing. But I said this. I've made multiple posts about this. But the best analogy is just when you don't have a sales process, it's like you have a Rubik's cube, and you don't know how to solve the Rubik's cube. So you're just twisting the sides and doing all the things. But then when you have a sales process, it's like you've learned how to use the Rubik's cube, and you got the yellow. As you're going through the sales process, you got the yellow side, then you got the blue side, then you got the red side, then you got the green side, then boom, you get it all done, and then you got the deal. And it's like, but everything's clear, like you clearly know where you are. Like if you only have the green and the yellow side and the other sides are mixed up, like that because you have a sales process.
Yeah.
And then as soon as everything is clear, boom, you got the deal.
That's so good, bro. So before, like, I'm trying to remember, right when you got into Blueprint, that's when you got a virtual assistant?
I had one before, but we had one in like February. So like a month after that,
Got it. Because now that I'm thinking back to it, I remember you already having like, leads, consistent leads flowing in the door.
Not enough though. That was the other thing too. I realized too in 2023, no leads, no business, right? I mean, people think like they're doing something wrong, and I think people just vastly underestimate the quantity of leads you need, especially when you're doing outbound like calling and texting. If you have one VA bringing in 2 leads a day, yeah, it's going to take you a long time to get a deal. You're not doing anything wrong. You just don't have nearly enough leads. You need like 10 leads a day, right? You need to 5x that. So we were like struggling until like July of 2023. And we got up to, 3-4 deals, contracts a month just from Blueprint because I was closing those deals from other people. So it kind of masked our lead generation issue because we're like, oh, we're getting all these deals, but they're all JV deals, And then in like July, bro, we had one VA till July. From January to freaking July, we had one damn VA cold calling. And obviously not enough leads, but then as soon as we went from one VA to 3 cold calling VAs, then it was like boom. Then we had all these leads, everything was like flourishing. I was like, dang, okay, so that was the problem the whole time. I wasn't doing anything wrong, right? I was trying to fix the sales. What am I doing? What am I not doing in the sales process? Nothing. I was doing everything right. It's just we needed more deals. I mean, if it's not a deal, it's not a deal. At the end of the day, you can only do what you could do.
No, exactly. It's like a funnel. I always talk about the sales funnel. Up top, this thing's got to be flooded. Like this thing's got to be overflowing with leads. And then as you come down the funnel, you utilize your skill set to, qualify the people as the best people that you should be spending your time with. But the filling the top of the funnel is the easiest thing ever. It's like you could just pay somebody to fill the top of the funnel, right? And all it is just finding people who are interested. And then you got to train your people down here to have the higher quality conversations where people are really puzzling the pieces together and extracting as much as they can out of every single opportunity. That's a whole different skill set in itself. And that's what I see you walking into now, which is pretty cool. Because here's what happened. In the beginning of Blueprint, you were crushing it with all the other students, like helping students close deals. And you were even, coaching some of the Zooms that we were having on sales training. And well, that's a whole nother topic, talking about how like teaching really elevates you into the next level. I think we talked about that the other day. We can get into that in a second. But it was cool to see how the skill set that you kept working ultimately put you in a position where you were able to just help other people. And granted, to your point, the leads is a very important thing. Leads are so easy, bro. Go hire a freaking virtual assistant. Right? Go in the comments below and go hit up Karen for a VA so you can freaking go generate more leads. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's not that hard. That should not be a problem. But here's what happened. So Jake is closing other people's deals, right? And the wholesaling business is crushing it from a revenue standpoint, right? Because deals are being closed. However, when you're closing other people's deals, you are not in control of the amount of leads that are coming in the door. The coolest part about hiring a virtual assistant or sending out direct mail or doing whatever these direct to seller models are, it's very predictable and you can control it. It's like, hey, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month and I know this amount of leads is going to come into the door. Super controllable. That's why I freaking love it. I actually do both. I generate leads with JV wholesalers. I do a few different direct to seller models for lead generation. I just think it's important to diversify once you are established so that you're not reliant on just one lead generation strategy. But the coolest part about what you have done is didn't matter. The leads, even though it is a very pivotal point in the business. If you don't have leads, you don't have a business. But you created, because of the skill set that you developed, you created lead generation of your own. So you didn't even have to pay for leads. They were just coming in the door. Now, once you kind of pulled away from that a little bit, now the deal started drying up and you're like, yo, what the heck? And you realize, oh, crap, it's just leads. We just need our own leads. So then you funnel that in. Now transition into what is happening instead of, you closing other wholesalers' deals. Now you're helping your own team get all the deals closed. So talk about that. Talk about the transition from going from, being the one in the trenches, closing all the deals to now getting team members onto your team, closers onto your team to help close the deals.
Dude, it's another crazy thing I just realized actually? You said another thing at the Blueprint Mastermind, which really, another like vote of confidence, pivotal moment, which was, dude, you're like, dude, you should have an acquisition manager right now. Like, why don't you have an acquisition manager? Because I had this limiting belief, just like when I was cold calling, I had the limiting belief of, I should just be cold calling until I get X number of deals. Like, or X number of whatever. It's just some made up metric in my head that makes me worthy of not being a cold caller. Same thing with acquisition manager. For some reason in my head, I'm just like, I need to get to whatever. I think it was like $100K a month. I was like, I have to make $100K a month before I can hire acquisition manager.
Dude, $100K a month on your own as the only salesperson on the team, that sounds like hell to me. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but that's just some BS I made up in my head, right? And then you're just like, dude, why don't you have an acquisition manager yet? Like, it was just like ridiculous that I didn't. And that was like the first mindset shift. I was like, oh, okay. So I guess I should have an acquisition manager. And I was like, all right, we're going to get an acquisition manager. So, and it was, it's crazy those things that we make up in our head. Like, there's no rule book. There's no rule book that says you must do this much before you hire an acquisition manager or whatever, You must struggle this many months before you can hire someone out. I do think you should have a certain level of, competency to be able to understand and close so you can teach. But at the end of the day, that's just scaling, right? You got to hire people. But yeah, so we've hired 2 acquisition managers. They're both doing great.
Hold on. Can we touch on this for a second? It would be irresponsible of you to not hire acquisition managers faster. Because you have all this knowledge, bro. You've been closing deals. You're a certified closer. As long as you have everything as far as your finances and stuff in check to withstand, maybe a dip in revenue for a couple months to, train them and get them going. Like, do it wisely. Don't be foolish, right? But it would be irresponsible, bro, of you not to do that. Actually, the better word is it would be selfish. Because there's somebody out there that needs Jake's guidance. There's somebody out there that needs a mentor to look to, another person of influence to look to that can lift them up. You see what I mean? And if you stayed in that mindset of like, well, dang, I can be the only one closing the deals until I'm at $100K a month, the closers that you have on the team, they might not have ever had an opportunity to grow. You see what I mean? But you're giving them an opportunity to grow now. It's crazy that I'm saying this because I had the same exact belief as you. This is probably about like 3 years ago. I was like, dude, I don't know what the heck it is that I do. I don't know how the heck I'm getting these deals. It's before I had a sales process or anything like that. I was just like, dude, I just know how to talk to people and I can get deals done. I don't know. So I don't see me allowing somebody else to close the leads. They're just going to screw up the leads because I don't know how to teach it. It's not even their fault. It's my fault. And then the same exact conversation that me and you had at the mastermind was the same exact conversation that me and Pace had on a Zoom one day, where I was just explaining to him where I was at in the business, and he was pretty much just like, "Bro, it's not that hard. like, like it's really not that hard. Just go get the acquisition managers, and you know, he just gave me some advice on how to go do that. But it wasn't even about the advice. It wasn't like the strategic advice on how to train them and how to go get them and how to find them. It was the belief that I had. Because after I got off of that Zoom, I'm like, oh, I'm actually late to the game. Like I should have been done this. Why haven't I done? Why didn't I do this 6 months ago? You see what I mean? And dude, it's so important to have those people in your life that can see the things that you can't see.
But yeah, it's just that those little shifts though. Just a little shift, just one little comment, you know? It's like one little comment, but at the right precise time. It's like, oh,
From the right vessel. Because somebody else might have said that. My wife gets so mad at me, bro. Because, dude, other than God, she'll probably be my best mentor if I just freaking listened. Like, if I just listen, but she'll tell me something, and I'll just be like, yeah, all right, cool. Just it could be about what I should be doing in business or just a piece of advice or whatever. And then a year later, somebody else will tell me the same exact thing, and I'll have a revelation, and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm about to do that, this, that," and then I'll go ahead and do it, and she's just sitting there with her arms crossed, like, "I told you."
yep.
I don't know what it is, bro. It's just we need the right vessel, and it needs to be at the right time for somebody to say that to us. So I know, dude. There's people that aren't Mike Gomes fans. Like, there's people that are like, I just don't like the way he looks. I don't like the way that he talks. I don't like the way that he teaches, and that's completely fine, right? And then there's people that I'm called to help. So I'm not gonna not be myself because if I was being fake and being somebody else, I would be hindering the people that are called that I should be helping. You see what I mean? And dude, you're not called to reach everybody, and it is what it is.
That's a really good point because that's one of my biggest messages with social media. Like, we need more leaders in this world, right? We don't have enough leaders.
Yeah,
And one of my biggest limiting beliefs with putting out content and beginning to teach was like, well, there's already so many people out in the space who are putting out better content than me, who have been in it longer than me, who are more experienced. Why should I do that? Well, for that exact reason, there's people out there that aren't Jake Burhan's fans. They don't like me. They don't like my style, right? So other people need to preach the same message because you're going to have a unique audience that is only going to gravitate to you. So again, it's selfish not to do those things because your unique techniques and message and how you communicate things is going to reach certain people and help them. So you got to get out there, be a leader.
facts, dude. That's a bar. That is so good. Talk about these acquisition managers, bro.
Yeah, it's been great. I told you the other day that I've probably doubled my sales knowledge in the past 2 months. So as of, January, beginning of February 2024, the previous 2 years, all that sales knowledge, doubled it in the past 2 months. I would say. Since I've been like really teaching it, like every single day with these acquisition managers, boiling it down. Why is this call going bad? Why is it going good? Like everything is just like clicking in my head. It's like the puzzle pieces of the puzzle coming together. But they've been great. It's been good, and it's a different skill set as well, right? It's not just closing, obviously, but it's more about leadership. Keeping them motivated is one thing. Keeping the spirits up, giving them coaching in a way that they're receptive to it, because not everyone receives things in the same way. So you want to encourage them while also giving them the constructive feedback to go out there and get it done. But it's been great. I wouldn't say it's really any less exhausting like I thought it would be, but it's just different.
Bro, like as you keep on moving forward, as you keep on leveling up as an entrepreneur, the problems don't get less exhausting. They just get bigger. Like they get more complicated actually. And I mean, here's how I look at it. As you keep on running into these problems, and you keep leveling up your skill sets and whatever it is, sales, leadership, influence, Every single time you get to a new level, that means that you solve the problem. Once you solve that problem, you now have all that information that you can go use to help other people that have that problem. Because here's the deal. The reason why we're going through all this is not for us. Like, the reason why I need to level up as an entrepreneur, level up as a husband, or level up as a man of faith, or level up as whatever it is in my life, it's not for me. It's for it's for my sphere of influence, the people that I'm gonna go help with that knowledge, go help with those resources, go help with that whatever it is that I can help out with. You see what I mean? So
Yeah, so it's like a chain. It's like Pace, you know? Pace is going through these things, understanding this information, because there's certain people in a sphere like you who needed that information from him specifically, you know? It's almost like a divine thing, not to get too woo, but, right? You needed it from him specifically. Same thing with you. You're going through these things. You're getting this information of how to solve problems for your specific sphere who need that message from you. Same thing with me, right? I'm going to go through these problems and get this information because there's certain people in my sphere that need to hear that message from me. So I need to go through it. It's crazy.
100%, 1,000%, bro, 1,000%. Because I think about it, out of all the things that Pace has told me, bro, I have made it sure that I've tried to do whatever I could do to pay it forward. Whatever that means. By taking the action, by teaching it to other people, or whatever it is. But what's going to end up happening at the end of life is we're going to get a book, and that book is going to be, the book of Jake, how many people that Jake should have influenced. And you were called to influence a certain amount of people, and you're going to be judged based off of how many people you influenced or how much work you did that you were supposed to do. Right? And every time that we're withholding something because we're maybe afraid of afraid of what people on social media are going to say, or afraid of what our friends are going to say or our family are going to say, every single time that happens, rip that page out. You ain't about to you're not about to receive that page up in heaven, right? So what's the point of holding stuff in? It's like, at the end of the day, if the people aren't vibing with you, whatever, that's fine. It is what it is. Freaking love it, bro. So I'm excited for you. Where are you going in the future?
It's a good question. I mean, real estate is great. It'll always be a part of my life. I think the wholesale business is great. I mean, wholesale goals specifically are to scale out of it. We're looking to do $1 million in revenue this year. I think we did like 400,000 in assignments last year. Looking to do $1 million this year.
400, bro. Was last year your first year of wholesaling?
First full time.
Like for real year?
Yeah, for real year.
Bro.
And we did all that in like Q3, Q4.
Right. And you have a partner, right?
Yeah, partner. So he does dispo. So we in-house dispo, which helps us obviously.
So dude, first year of wholesaling, $400,000. Really, for you, that means as a 50-50 partner, you're taking home $200,000. Bro, what is the average? Let me ask you.
It wasn't 200. That was like 120 for me last year because we had expenses and stuff and taxes and shit like that. So
this is why I like you, bro. You're realistic. Hey Siri. What is the average pay in America?
Average salary in United States is $83,388 US per year. The most typical earning is $52,013 US.
Okay, 83 grand is the average. In the first year, bro, you surpassed that significantly. Just off of straight up grit and grind.
I know. Literally grit, bro. And you know what's even crazier? I was going to accept a job. I was going to be an accountant. And I had a job offer out of school that would have started in September of 2022, 2 months before we started going full time. And if you look back at since we started for that first 14 months, it was probably like we did like 450 because we did like 50 grand in that end of there. But I I had an accounting job offer for the full year, and the salary was like it's either 52 or 62 for the full year, and I literally doubled it.
You made that in a quarter, bro.
I know. I remember going to my grandfather's, and like his brother was there, and he thought I was crazy. You're gonna pass up on 60K? What the hell are you doing? So it's just funny, like. But then, we go do those things. Not to say that we were working a lot, though, obviously, doing all those things, grinding. But at this point, we have, and then in this quarter, we have, like, between closed and then, like, funded with a buyer, like, 300,000 so far. Or, like, something like that. So, like, we're on track for $1 million. So it's just, like, and then, so anyway, so the business there, and then this is like really a big year for data gathering, like KPIs and things like that. So track all this data, and then at the end of this year, we'll be able to make those high leverage tweaks where it's like, okay, this is where we're lacking. These are the adjustments we need to make so we can bump that up and like triple the business in 2025, right? So this is a foundational year to really get the team together, get the systems together. Last year was just a mess. Last year was a freaking disaster, and we still came out, where we came out, which is insane.
Compared to the majority of businesses, bro, your business last year was spectacularly clean. Like,
yeah.
Dude, most people are not that organized. Most people are not that consistent. Actually, I could stop right there. Most people are not that consistent, right? Like, that's the straight up fact. I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, kid's been coming to my office doing a bunch of calls and stuff like that and just like hustling, making it happen. And he's freaking grinding, just putting the freaking work in, just making the calls, getting told no, all the fun things, right? And it gets to the point where he's just like, man, it's like 2 or 3 weeks now, I don't have a deal. And I feel like it's like I'm having a tough time having the conversations. And I'm like, bro, you're going to get a deal, don't worry. I'm like, it's going to happen at some point. Just keep on making the dials. You're not going to be nasty right now. Like, you're not going to be the best closer in the world. However, if you keep on making the dials, God is going to reward you with some low-hanging fruit. Like you're just going to get a deal at some point. It's like it's a principle. You plant enough seeds, at some time you're going to have a harvest. You know what I'm saying? So he kept on making the dials. By the end of the day, that day that he was kind of getting discouraged, he was like, man, I made the most amount of dials that I ever made in my life, and I had the most amount of talk time that I ever had in one single day. Homeboy closed the deal at the end of the day.
Unreal.
I can't make this up, bro. So, dude, it's just about the work, bro. Just put in the work.
100%. Yeah, that's why being around the right people and community and all that is super important, because it's just such a mental game. The business, like the mechanics of the business are very simple. It's not complicated, but it's it's difficult mindset wise. But yeah, there's a lot to that conversation. But I think being around the right people, being in communities like Blueprint, things like that, especially if you're a younger kid, you're in your 20s, your parents don't believe in you, right? You're living at home. They don't understand that type of thing. Maybe your friends are all working corporate jobs. They don't get it. It's extra important there. Like, I'm very fortunate. Like, I have good family, and they always supported me. Like, I could do puppets in Boston. They'd be like, let's go. So it doesn't really matter. But so I've been super fortunate for that. But not everyone is that fortunate, So, but that doesn't mean you can be. Doesn't mean that you're allowed to be a victim. Does not mean that. It means that you need to go put yourself in the right environments, to propel you forward. But going off real quick, secondly, because I was getting to another point though about where am I headed. So obviously the wholesale business, that's great. Do those things, automate that.
I love how you just talk about it like lightly. You're just like, yeah, whatever. I'll just go make $1 million in a year. And it's like, whatever. And then I just kind of move on.
Bro, it's all a mindset. It's a reprogramming. You just got to reprogram yourself to it is what it is, Anything is possible in this world. It's really crazy. So the real estate business is great. And then obviously buying multifamily. But I feel like my true thing is not necessarily, maybe it is related to real estate, but more on the teaching side, I don't know, like if you're coaching, I kind of hate that word, but that's what really gives me energy though. It's like even on these podcasts, talking about it and doing this type of thing, and also like helping other people, that's what really just like gives me so much energy and fills my cup. So I think ultimately, and I was thinking about this morning actually, I was like, the point of this wholesale business isn't even the wholesale business. It's actually crazy. I actually thought that thought this morning, dude. Of like, the point of this wholesale business isn't even the business. It's just so I can learn the stuff so I can teach it to other people. I'm just realizing that right now. I had that thought this morning and I was like, damn, that's crazy. It's not even about the wholesale business. Who cares about the deals? Whatever. Just learn the information because my true calling is teaching and doing that type of stuff. But I need to have these experiences in order to go do that.
Can we go a little bit more underlying than that too?
Yeah.
The wholesale business and sales training and all that type of stuff is cool. And that's where you're going to go out and teach. But it's the principles behind what you were doing on a day to day basis. That is what you were called to get out. Right? Real estate and wholesaling is just the vehicle. I'm gonna go teach people how to go wholesale in real estate. I'm gonna teach people how to do sales. I'm gonna go teach people, right? And out of that, they're gonna get some good information. They're gonna get some information on how to go grow their business, and it's gonna be great. They're gonna be able to help their families and stuff like that. But it is the principles behind who Jake is. That's what needs to get out there, and that needs to get out there in some form of fashion. And if the vehicle to do that is wholesaling real estate, then great. This is why, like, um, a lot of churches, right? A lot of churches will kind of push people to get into um, get into these ministries and stuff like that to help build the church, and that's very important. There's callings to do that, and there's people that are called to do other things for other reasons, right? Like, I'm going to send you this video. Remind me to send it to you after this podcast. But going back to the book thing that I was talking about earlier, what if you open up the book and God's like, yo, so you're jacked up. You're like, yes, I did it. I went out, I crushed it. I bought a bunch of properties. I did all the things. I helped a bunch of people, and it was great. And God was like, Jake, actually, you remember that accounting job that I showed you that you were supposed to have? Yeah, you were supposed to be an accountant, and that was going to help 20 million people in some form or fashion, right? Like that. I don't think that that's the case. I think you're called to the certain vehicle that you're in right now doing it, but some people will see other people's vehicles and be like, dang, that's the vehicle that I need to be in. So for the church example, some people might be like, that's the vehicle that I need to be in. I see everybody in the church like, leading these ministries, helping out here, there. That's I need to go get in and do that because they're telling me to do that or pushing me to do that. But it's like, bro, not everybody's called to do that. Not everybody's called to go drive that vehicle. You got to drive your own vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. 100%. The callings are absolutely different.
Mm.
That's what I realized at first too, because I was like, well, why doesn't everyone just do this? Why doesn't everyone just be an entrepreneur, do these things? It's like not everyone is built for that. And it's
Exactly.
not the most important thing either. Like there's people have certain personalities and characteristic traits to fulfill certain things.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. Jake was telling me before the podcast, he's like, man, I got this new camera fan. It's great. Your camera will never heat up ever. You got to get it. It's $35. Homeboy just got the notification like you get on your iPhone when it's too hot. Like,
I think it's because I was recording, maybe. I don't know. I don't have any excuses.
that's good, bro. We can just let things rock. Like, what do you want to talk about, bro? Any questions that you got?
I think that's a really good point. I wrote that down, that it's about the principles from the wholesaling business, not the wholesaling business itself, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not even about learning the skills from the wholesale business and teaching people the wholesaling skills. Okay, that kind of helps them make money, but to truly be successful, it's not about the techniques. The techniques are easy. To truly be successful, they have to embody and believe these principles,
Mm-hmm.
right? The principles of, persistence, determination, of being a genuine person, whatever these principles are that allow
Yeah,
you to be successful, like those are the things.
it's so true.
Questions. Let's see. How has Blueprint changed you?
This is a loaded question. There's many directions I can go with this. First thing I'll say, teaching is a whole different aspect. There's, what do you call that thing? It's like the learning triangle or something like that, or learning pyramid. It's like a learning pyramid, right? And it's pretty much like how people learn the best. And teaching is actually at like the number one thing. But I've always done this in my whole life. Like I've always wanted to take the stuff that I have been granted and received, right? Whether it's knowledge, whether it's a skill, whether it's like even on the football field, I used to do it, and I just wanted to teach. That's why out of high school, I didn't know what the heck to do. And one of the main influences in my life was my high school football coach. I just went to him. I'm like, Coach Tarp, I don't know what to do in my life, bro. Like, I need help. He's like, dude, you're going to coach football. Like, you're a coach. You're a teacher. That's what you're going to do. Just go to school, go play football. After football, you'll be a teacher coach. And I'm like, all right, sounds good to me. So I go to school to be a teacher coach. But it's always been that the foundation of everything has always been like, hey, I got this and I just have the spirit to go teach it to somebody else, right? And that's what's led me to start Blueprint. But it didn't start. Blueprint didn't just start by me just saying, oh yeah, let me just go start my own community or something. There were times where I had to where I was put in a position to help lead other communities and help teach other communities, like Pace's Sub 2 community. I was in what we call the nightly dial. This is probably about maybe 2.5 years ago now. Daniel Quijano, who runs the nightly dial, came up with this idea where it's like, hey, let's call sellers live. All the newbies in the community can call sellers live, and us closers will give them feedback, and it's just going to be great. We'll do it every single day for 4 hours. We did that for about a year. I helped out every single week on that call. And then a year goes by, we switched it to every like 3 days. Still at it, still doing it. And that taught me a lot. That taught me how to teach. That taught me how to be patient with people. That taught me how to influence. But here's what I realized. I realized that more often than not, before you go ahead and build something of your own, you'll be put in a position to go help somebody else build their thing. You'll see it in the Bible so many times where somebody was in a position where they were helping somebody out before they were given the kingdom, right? Like it's stewarding that. So week after week after week, I was the most consistent closer on the nightly dial, showing up every single week, making sure that I never missed a time, making sure that I never missed anything. And then from there, one of these thought bubbles just came like, hey, you know what? Why don't I start my own community? Why don't I start a community of, this wholesaling and sales community? It's going to be really dope. So we launched that, and it's the same exact lessons, like teaching people, being patient, learning how to influence somebody when it comes to, uh, you know, these higher level decisions that they're making, not just teaching somebody how to go make a seller call, but like speaking life into somebody and showing them, dude, there's more to this, right? So that's what Blueprint has done for me. But rolling into the next thing is it has showed me how powerful influence can really be. Because somebody like yourself, and we're gonna watch this in a year or so, or 2 years. The information or the knowledge or the wisdom and the experience and stuff that you had in Blueprint by the way, I'm not taking Blueprint. I'm not saying Blueprint is credited for what you're going on. You are the one that freaking put the work in and made it happen and had success. But
But it is. I mean, Blueprint is credited for sure.
the blueprint of how to go do that like was from Blueprint, and now that is going to help so many people that I'm never even going to realize. Bro, you're hosting your own community now. You have your own community. You're helping people that I will never even meet in my life. Right? And just from like seeds that were planted within Blueprint before are now helping other people. Right? So it's just like here's what Blueprint taught me the most. And I wouldn't say taught me, it just reassured it. Everything that I do is a seed. And at some point, that seed comes to life in a harvest. I just want to make sure that I'm planting seeds in the right spots and that I'm planting the right seeds. I want to make sure that I have the right seeds and that they're being put in the right spot. So that's why there's some people that have been in Blueprint that have left Blueprint for one reason or another, and I'm like, it wasn't the right soil, right? Maybe I didn't have the right seeds, and I'm completely fine with that. So it's just being more intentional with finding the right seeds to put in the right soil, so that the harvest comes. And that harvest is something that you might not even see. I'll never see the harvest of a lot of the seeds that have been planted in Blueprint because there's something that you might go help somebody else out, and you see what I mean. So that's what it's really taught me. It's taught me to be intentional with the way I'm planting seeds. That's my job. I'm not a wholesaler. I'm not a real estate investor. I'm not a mentor. I'm not a coach. I'm a farmer. That's it. I just plant seeds
I
and
always liked farms, so I'd be cool with being a farmer too. I always wanted a farm, actually, like a physical farm.
right. I might have to go get a physical farm. So that's really what it's taught me, bro. That's a really good question.
That is phenomenal. Because I think the second part was influencing people. The first part was teaching people, right? The two things you mentioned there.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, the influence of building a community. Because think about that. You have say you just have 100 people in the community. 100 people, right people in the right community, all 100 people. I mean, those people are now gonna, if you plant those seeds and change their life, those 100 people are gonna go change 100 people, and then 100 people and 100 people. It's a crazy web effect. So that's probably one of the most impactful things you could do, sharing sharing information. I never really thought about it like that. It's a pretty insane multiplier effect. And it's also kind of the point of doing it is you just do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you're gonna see the results of your harvest, or you're
Yes.
gonna get the kind of the satisfaction of that. 'Cause to a certain extent, we do things because of the appreciation we'll receive. Even if we're like giving, like you do that selfishly in a way because you want to like people say, "Oh, Jake, you're so great. You gave all this money, all this
Yeah.
stuff, right? Or you donated all this money, or you did this, you did that. You're the best." Right? It's like my ego loves that.
That's
But it's
completely
when you
fine.
it is completely fine. Completely fine. But it's really when like you get no recognition, no one's giving you a kudos on the pat on the back, and you're still doing the thing. You know, I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's like at the deepest level, the mark of like I don't know if it's the mark of wisdom or the mark of something.
So, couple things. That's completely fine. You're human, bro. We have these feelings, and they are okay to have as long as it's secondary, right? Like it's cool to have the desire to go to want money and to maybe have nice clothes and have a nice house or have like, dude, we can't go have that. Like, what? Why not? That don't make any sense. Why can't I want to have that? It's nice. I want to have a nice house. I want to be able to enjoy my house with my wife and enjoy a nice drive and a nice car with my wife or enjoy like you see what I'm saying? Why can't I have that? But when that's primary, that's where there's um, that's where issues can arise because you're not building off of a firm foundation, right? So when, to your point, when all that stuff goes away, what's going to happen? Because it will at some point. Bro, there's been seasons in Blueprint where I literally host a Q&A and not one person shows up. You know what happened? This is probably like maybe 4 months ago or something like that. I host a Q&A in Blueprint. It's a random Tuesday. I'm just like, hey, I want to hang out with the Blueprint community. Like, let me just throw it up there. I threw it in, in our text threads and stuff like that. Zoom was supposed to happen in like 2 hours. I show up in 2 hours. Not one person shows up to the Zoom. Okay. So I stopped the Zoom and I'm just like, not gonna lie, there's a little voice in me that was like, bro, you ain't got it like that. Right? I'm not gonna lie, I'm human. I thought that. However, the louder voice in me was like, bro, don't sweat it. Like don't sweat it. You're here with clean hands and a pure heart for a reason. Go shoot the modules for Blueprint 2.0. So I'm like, all right, sounds good. Stop the Zoom, shot the modules for Blueprint 2.0, and now we're helping way more people out than we were 4 months ago, right? In that time. And one of the Blueprint members texted me and said, hey, this was like 30 minutes into the Zoom when it was supposed to be live. They're like, hey, I just showed up to the Zoom, but nobody was there. What the heck happened? I, I had to be real. I'm like, I'm just being honest with you. Ain't nobody showed up. And she's like, you know what? No problem. Everything is gonna be okay. Yo, that resonated with me so good in the moment. I was just like, you know what? I'm screenshotting this, and I still have that screenshot to this day, because at the end of the day, I just know it ain't about all the numbers. It ain't about all the glitz and glamour, bro. It's just like, what foundation are you building this thing off of? Like, why are we really doing this? Are we doing this? Do we really understand that we're not blessed with resources? We're not blessed with skill sets and all that type of stuff, for our own. Like, do we realize that it is for everybody else around us? And once you realize that, you just move a little bit different. And you are completely okay when things aren't going the way that you think that they should go.
100%. Yeah, I think I mean, it's ultimately it's about like what's fulfilling in life though, you know? What are you gonna get fulfillment out of? I think just looking back at my previous, experiences and things, the most fulfilling things come from relationships with other people. And furthermore, like you said, helping and teaching others and impacting others. But it all revolves around the relationships. Uh, and it is interesting that, it's almost like demonized to want these nice things. Like, oh, you shouldn't want that. It's greed. It's this, it's that. It's like, if you look at things with an abundant mindset, though, the universe is abundant. You can have everything that you want. You can have the nice car and the nice house and do all those things. That's completely fine. And I agree, as long as it's not the main focus. That's when you're cheating and clawing and screwing people over at all costs to get those things, which is what I feel like a lot of people associate wealth with, is like
Yeah.
harm, like doing bad to others to get really wealthy. But in reality, money is just an exchange of value. So, I mean, you make a lot of money, it's because you've provided a ton of value to people, typically
Yeah.
speaking, right? Yeah, you can cheat your way to the top, but it's not going to last. It's going to come down eventually. But I think that's a fundamental shift, kind of on a different note, that people need to make with kind of making money and becoming wealthy. It's like you are given money because you have provided value to someone, right? You've actually impacted someone. You know,
Yeah.
I gave someone a training, it changed their life. They paid me $5,000, right? I didn't have
Yeah.
it, but I'm just saying, like, that's what happens. I impacted their life. And what can they give me in return for the value I've given them? Well, I can give you money, right? It's the medium of exchange. So I think that's why people always say lead with value, and the money follows. True value.
The value exchange is important, right? And I think it's more so that you are trusted with those resources now. So I have a hard time with people saying, don't hit me up in my DMs unless you are bringing value. Don't hit up the influencers unless you're bringing them some sort of value. It's like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? But if you're like just moving with hands and a pure heart as an influencer, and I'm not saying an Instagram influencer, I'm saying like a human being influencer. It's like, bro, whatever comes your way, it's like help somebody out, bro. If all I got to do is just send a voice message to somebody in my DMs, I answer every single one of my DMs. If all I got to do is just send a little voice message that takes me 15 seconds, am I above doing that? Like, why can't I do that? You see what I'm saying? Even if they did just DM me and say, hey, I want to pick your brain about wholesaling. Tell me, how should I get into it? Dude, I'll have a quick, minute conversation with them in my DMs. What am I am I above doing that? But what happens with that is, yeah, the value exchange happens at some point. I start giving that value out. Now somebody's like, wait, this guy is a giver. Like, I want to, I want more of that. Here's some money, dude. The money isn't theirs. The money's God's. God has given the resources to you because He trusts you with more resources, right? And as you give more value, you are more trusted with more resources. Now that's what abundance is, right? Abundance is you're trusted with the resources. There's a story in the Bible where Jesus is doing a sermon, right? There's like 20,000 people there or something crazy. And everybody's starving. Everybody's like, yo, I've been listening to you for like 12 hours now, bruh. Ain't no popcorn here. I'm starving, man. Like, we need to be fed. So the disciples start like trying to figure out what the heck to do. They find one person with like 2 loaves and 5 fish, or 2 fish and 5 loaves, or something like that. And Jesus is like, all right, well, I can work with this. So he takes the small amount of food. There's 20,000 people there, bro. Takes a small amount of food, and he's like, looks up to the sky, blesses it, and there was an abundant. They said everybody ate, and there was leftovers. There was overflow. There was more. There was more than enough. But could you imagine if the disciples were selfish, and when they found that person with a little bit of food, they were like, yo, we're a little bit of hungry. We're kind of hungry too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta eat too. Jesus, I've been here for about 12 hours now too, man. Like, I'm kind of hungry my dang self. And they did not bring that to him. Everybody else wouldn't have been fed. But because they were not selfish, because they were moving with clean hands and a pure heart, there was an abundance left. There was more than enough. The baskets were overflowing. Right? Because they knew it was not about them. So,
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, if we can get that principle, bro, that everything we do is a seed and the harvest is to help other people, we're going to be taken care of. Like our wants and desires and whatever it is, that's going to be taken care of, bro. You're going to get the car at some point. You're going to get the house at some point. You're going to get the shoes that you want at some point. If you just keep on moving like that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't get those things. But if I'm moving every single day with that in mind, where it's just like, hey, I'm here to help as many people as I possibly can, dude, there's a 99% chance you're just going to end up with the things that you already desire anyways. And once you go get those things, you're going to realize that it ain't that cool. The feeling of helping somebody else is much better than the feeling of having the nice car. When you really feel that. Gosh, this was good.
It's good. It's a wide array of topics. That's what I like talking about, though, the mindset, all that stuff like that. I could just get deep into that.
We could be here for hours, bro. You got some exciting news coming up, no? Here's what I need you guys to do. What's your Instagram handle?
Jake_Burhans.
Okay, I need you guys to go follow Jake on Instagram and just know that there's something coming. Okay, we can't tell you exactly what it is at the moment, but just know, stay tuned to his IG. Go follow him on YouTube and stay tuned because something big is coming. Can't tell y'all yet.
Big things. That's going to, I think really impact a lot of people and just get people to that next level.
Let's go. That's what this is all about, baby. Jake, I appreciate you tremendously, bro.
Yeah, there's no words to thank you for everything you've done, since last March. It's been Crazy. One of the most impactful people in my life, Mike Gomes, right here, man.
Likewise, bro. For real.
No cap.
Appreciate you, brother. We out. Matter of
Peace.
fact, this is the final episode of Kingdom Closers. Me and the media team got some fun stuff coming up for the next couple weeks. Stay tuned for it. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you see this next series that's coming up. We out. Peace.